if it was relative, you're going to have to be putting wads of cash on somebody's head, aren't you?
I'm not sure notes are going to hold the eyes
The whole
down.
face is distorted from piles of cash on their face.
Yeah, the ferryman be like, my rates have gone up, sorry.
Yeah, have you seen the
Cost of
interest rate?
living.
It's a dead center. Ooh, yeah.
Welcome back to It's a Death Sentence. I'm Emma Skip. I'm here with the delightful Carrie Smith.
Hello.
Today, we are doing an episode called See a Penny, Pick It Up. And this is all around superstitions, traditions and myths surrounding death.
So I'm from an Irish background, as you well know, Irish Catholic, and I've grown up with loads of superstitions all my life.
Okay.
Literally, we've got superstitions for everything. And I mean for everything. Anyone with an Irish mammy, they'll get it.
A mammy.
Yeah. But yeah, so being from this background, I am in equal parts mad and superstitious. So some might say mad superstitious.
Hang on. You're mad?
Are you not?
No, I hadn't noticed.
So yeah, examples of my mum's superstition would be like, I mean, you've probably heard them all. Don't walk under a ladder.
Yep.
If you throw sugar or salt over your shoulder, if you spill it, it reverses the bad luck.
Okay.
Shoes on the table, sign of an argument. That's new shoes.
So I've known all these things, but I didn't know what I knew that shoes on the table was bad luck. So I remember somebody telling me off at a gig once.
Yeah, they said
Putting my
it's a
shoes on the
sign
table.
of an argument.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Itchy nose, sign of an argument.
I thought itchy nose was you coming into money.
No.
Wow.
Itchy palm.
Not the Irish.
Itchy palm, left for losing, right for receiving.
You got anything in the Irish traditions that's good?
If you drop a fork, she said, oh, there's a woman coming to the house. If you dropped a knife, it'd be, oh, there's a man coming to the house. There's always something.
Wow.
But that's just normal everyday living. So
Okay.
Can you imagine what it's like when it comes to death?
Wow.
So, I mean, there's loads of superstitions linked with death, loads. And I think a lot of the time they're created for the living, to protect the living rather than the dead, because they don't need any protecting, do they? But so let's start with some like well-known superstitions.
Yeah.
So obviously we know superstitions are rooted in like culture and history, and people have been doing them for years and years and years. So one that I looked at was closing windows. So in some traditions, if somebody dies, they close the window to stop the soul from leaving.
That's so interesting, because when I reflect back to interviewing our Primrose ladies, it was the opposite. We're opening a
Absolutely.
window to set the soul free. So it's a complete counter. It's completely different. So so to keep the soul there?
To keep the soul in, stop it leaving. I don't understand, but that's what I've read about.
How interesting that it's still related to a window, but the two things can mean such different.
Absolutely. I suppose it depends on where you're coming from there,
Yeah.
whether it's
Yeah.
you're a believer of closing
What would
it
you
or
do?
open it.
I think, my natural instinct would be to
Let it go.
set it free. Yeah.
Yeah. So another omen of death would be animals. So my mum's I talked to my mum about this before in depth, and people say if you see crows or owls or black cats, they could be seen as like harbingers of death. Like, if you
I've
see
heard
them,
the black cat, and it's crossing a path. That's one, isn't it? Is
can
that an
be-
Irish
can
thing?
be
I don't know.
unlucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my mum said that certain animals follow certain families.
Wow.
So it could be in your family that you see rats, and if someone sees a rat, then they know that somebody in the family is going to die.
Wow.
And that's
Like
what they
a weird
believe.
little ratty spirit guide.
Yeah, like they see a rat. It's probably a real rat, but when they see the rat, they know it's like an omen that someone's going to die.
And that's a specific animal to different families then?
Yeah, my mum said like some of them, some people see rats, some people see cats, it's different
Let's
depending on the
face it, I
family.
mean, if you're in the UK and you see a parakeet walk, sort of just on your doorstep, I wouldn't be thinking somebody's going to die. I'd think, what the fucking hell's that doing?
Yeah, we have had hot weather. But yeah, so I'm assuming, I don't know, it's random, isn't it? Like birds, though, they say, don't they? Like my mum would be like, oh, there's a robin in the garden. He's come to give us a message.
I think the robin thing is really, really interesting. I really do, because obviously they're quite domesticated. They're very territorial. But I've had robins appear at times where I've been thinking about somebody like that. And is it coincidental? Is there any such thing as coincidence? I don't know. And magpies, of course, is the other one.
Magpies, and there's a real superstition with magpies.
The
And there's
rhymes,
like
yeah.
1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy. Yeah.
5 for silver, 6 for gold,
Gold.
7 for a secret.
Never to be told.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know I knew it all, but yeah. Or if there's a magpie on its own, my mum would say, "Hello, Mr. Magpie, how's the wife and family?"
So I've heard that, but do you know, to this day, when I see a single magpie, I salute it.
Yes.
It's so habitual.
It's mad, isn't it?
I
So-
almost find myself doing it and thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just saluting a random animal that's just there eating some roadkill, you know.
But I think it's ingrained in us, isn't it?
I think so,
Like
yeah.
these superstitions that
Yeah.
my mum sort of has ingrained in us growing up, I still do them now. So whenever I
Really?
leave in my car, I always say Godspeed, even if nobody's in there.
How interesting.
Because my mum used to say it. And
It is. We're a product of our upbringing, aren't we?
absolutely.
I did.
absolutely.
It's not really to do with death, although it is to do with accidents. But I learned once, you know, like walking over 2 or 3 drains. So if you walk over 2 drains, it's good luck, and if you walk over 3 drains, it's bad luck. But did you know why that is?
Why?
Because drainage was so poor many, many years ago that you were more likely to fall into one with 3 because of the weight distribution.
Okay, I didn't even know that. I thought that was just something kids made up. I didn't even know
Yeah.
that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I remember doing it at school.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's really
It
interesting.
is, isn't it?
Yeah. Another thing with animals.
And I still dance around three drains. I won't walk over them. It's ridiculous. I'm like, if people, you know, you're a superstitious person. No, I don't think so. She says, saluting a magpie and walking over only 2 drains.
Yeah, and then away from a ladder so she doesn't go
And
underneath.
holding a robin.
Another thing my mum said was birds, like if they fly into the window. You know, if a bird's ever flown into your window,
Yeah.
that's a sign that someone's going to die in your family.
I've got a story for you about that.
Oh, tell me.
A pigeon flew into that window over there and it died.
Oh. You're going to tell me like somebody died.
No, I'm afraid
and then
not.
you found out their name was
no,
Pigeon.
No, pigeon definitely died on impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
I felt like that was an appropriate story.
you're out of order.
Sorry. I've misread the tone.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But they say that is a common omen.
Really?
Death. Yeah.
Really?
Birds flying and pictures falling off walls. You heard of that?
Ah, no, I haven't.
So
No.
pictures falling off walls or mirrors falling off walls and things, mirrors breaking. You've heard of that?
Yeah,
7 years,
7 years
bad
bad
luck.
luck. And some people bury it as well.
If you
don't
bury it in the garden,
Yeah.
you can reverse the
The
bad luck.
pictures thing, just to let you know, these are all new along
As
my
they
back
fall
wall
off.
here, and some are strategically placed. So if that happens, it's not an
Yeah.
omen. It's just actually
Thank God for that.
it's gravity.
I'm not ready to die yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Clock stopping.
Yeah. Okay. So that brings me to thinking about Sophie Kirkwood with the interview we did. She works for Winston's Wish, and
About
so
her granddad's clock.
yeah, her granddad's clock. So for listeners, if you haven't listened to that episode, it's really worth listening. She's actually talking about the charity she works for, but she does actually talk about her personal experience, which is about the clock. So tell us about the Irish
So-
tradition there then.
Some people say that clocks stop when their loved one dies, like Sophie said. She said that when her granddad died, the clock stopped and then it never worked again. But the Irish traditionally, was that they stopped the clocks when somebody died.
Okay. I wonder if is that rooted in it making sense, like recording a time of death? Because
I mean, it could well be.
To this day, whichever doctor is present will record the time of death, don't
Yeah,
they?
I mean, I've never thought of it like that, but yeah, you know, potentially that
I wonder
could
if
have
it
been
had
where
like a
it started.
pragmatic reason, right? And then it became
Yeah,
more a practice. Became traditional.
maybe. And I think now stopping clocks is just something everyone just goes, oh yeah, you know, that they just accept it as in like, not that they stop a clock. I don't think we stop clocks anymore. I mean, I don't know whether they still do traditionally in Ireland.
Well, if
but
anybody does in there, you know, and you're listening,
yeah,
can you let us know?
It's like that poem we were talking about by W.H. Auden, is it? The Funeral Blues. And the first line is stop all the clocks.
Yeah.
So it is a well-known phenomena or thing. But
Yeah.
from what I've read and what I've researched, the Irish tradition was that they stopped the clocks. And from other people's experience, I've heard that clocks stop by themselves when somebody dies.
It's very interesting. It is something I don't know a lot about, but I've heard people talk about definitely when somebody dies that it's had a relation to a clock
To
stopping.
time.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's strange that it's with time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's a weird correlation or interesting correlation.
And also, I mean, just on a more pragmatic kind of level, we are that morbid thing that we've got when somebody dies, that date will stay with you forever. So is it the same with the time? You record, and in the same way we record a time of birth. It's relevant, isn't it? So, but if the clock magically stops, I mean, that's a phenomena. That's completely different, isn't it?
I wonder how accurate that is.
Yes,
Be interesting to find out how accurate that was. That if people's clocks actually did stop when they died, or whether it's just the next day they've noticed that the clock's not working, and it could have been not working the day before, but they hadn't noticed.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to find out, how true that was.
It's a bit like, I think we've spoken about it on a previous episode, but about the music. People often report at the time of somebody's death that a song that person loved will be audible somewhere. So it comes on the radio, or they're on the way home, or so, and they hear it, and it's so relevant. But do we as humans make things relevant to suit our agenda?
It's almost like we make the connections afterwards.
Possibly.
So like you heard that song, and
then
you got home and found out.
All the millions of songs, if you've had somebody you love die and their favourite song comes on the radio, I mean, it's a pretty, that's a bit of a lottery, isn't it, really?
It is. And you know what? I think you should just take from it what you want.
Absolutely.
Like my mum, obviously, she's superstitious and she gets comfort from it.
Yeah.
So, I don't see there's any harm in it. And obviously, I am superstitious as well in certain ways. So,
what else you got there in that magical book?
Friday the 13th. Do you say that's a lucky or unlucky day?
Well, I know it as unlucky, but I could not tell you its origins.
Well, I just know that it's considered unlucky, and so much so that my mum wouldn't fly on that day.
Wow,
really? She was coming over to England and she would not book a flight on the 13th. Wow. She would not fly. She came the next day.
We've literally just had a Friday the 13th. It was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it would... It certainly wouldn't stop me doing anything. But
I
have grown up listening to that being an omen for doom and something horrible happening.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what the origins are, actually. I probably should have researched it. I might do that for next time.
Yeah.
But even on aeroplanes and things, like a lot of hotels, they don't have a room 13.
Yes, I know this about the number 13.
For whatever reason, it's got...
I feel like we should find out during this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have a little research and see. So that was one of them. Have you heard of the banshee?
So as in a screaming banshee?
Yeah. So you know the term.
I know the term again, but it's like it filters down. I went to Catholic schools. I'm not a Catholic. I've heard a lot of these things, but do I know much about them? Not really.
So the banshee is a woman of the fairies, or a screaming woman, a spirit woman.
But again, when we think of fairies, it's kind of nice and pretty. Why have the Irish had to make it so screaming and all?
Well, because we like a bit of folklore, darling, and we like to, mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
But it's a woman's spirit, and if you hear her scream, apparently it foretells a death in the family. And again, a bit like what my mum said about pets following, or animals following people, a banshee follows the family.
Okay. Wow.
And often it's always heard screaming, sort of denoting that somebody's going to die.
Wow. I mean, it kind of figures in some ways, isn't it? If you hear some screaming, it could be followed by death.
As well as well, true. As well as a banshee, there's something else called the death coach, which, like, the history of it is sort of in the Headless Horseman type thing, like Sleepy Hollow, the movie. And some families are said to see the death coach, or I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but the Coist Bodhar, which is obviously sounds better in an Irish accent. But the Headless Horseman drives a coach, and apparently if you see him, he won't leave until he takes a soul. That's like the myth around it.
I mean,
and some people just hear the crack of his whip.
So listen to this. I was with a friend only last week, a musician friend. I'm not going to name him, but he has told me this story more than once. There's a road that runs adjacent to this one. And he was walking home one evening, probably inebriated, if I was to guess, but saw a coach and horses, like an apparition, like a ghostly coach and horses. And he is the kind of person where he's definitely not one to just make up stories for fun in that way. I mean, he's a funny guy, but he's absolutely convinced he saw it. And I've never heard about this, what you've just said.
Isn't that weird?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, the death coach.
Wow, I'm going to text him and let him know.
Yeah, so it's the death coach.
I mean, it was some years ago, so I mean, it's probably...
But I wonder if he did have any losses.
Maybe.
In their family after that.
Oh, I'll ask him.
Yeah,
Never
that would be
heard of that.
interesting to
Really
find
interesting,
out.
yeah.
Well, that's an old Irish
Wow.
sort of folklore thing. One that's sort of not just Irish, that carries on through all sorts of like religions and
Culture.
backgrounds, cultures, is taking a corpse out the house feet first.
Ooh.
Because they say that if they can look back into the house, they're said to take somebody with them.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I mean, like, obviously, I thought practicality wise, but no, it's to encourage them to not take anyone with them.
We're discussing
side.
these, like, again, from a kind of practical and knowledgeable point of view. But we've got to imagine, if we were, I don't know, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, and we had no less about science and all the rest of it, we would make these things up more in our minds. We would go, well, we don't want them looking back. I feel like that might happen. I think that we would, sort of, I don't know, make up scenarios based on how we felt at that time. And then you pass that on. It's how storytelling works, doesn't it? We pass it on and somebody else goes, oh, that sounds right to me. I wonder if that's how these things come to be.
They've got to be. Surely that's how superstitions arise. The history of them is somebody said something, you believed it, you carry it on, and then you think, well, I'm too scared not to do it now, so we'll do it just in case.
Yeah. Because,
they say if they look into the house, they can take the living with them.
going with them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they tend to take them out.
Because that person upon death became really evil and wanted to take somebody else.
I'm not going on my own. They said that mirrors and pictures and stuff's covered in black cloth. That's traditional.
So I've seen this in films. And do we know why that is?
I think it's to stop. I think I could be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But I think it's to stop the soul getting trapped. The mirrors are like, there's something about mirrors that is either the souls can get into them or get out of them. And I think it's like a way of stopping them being trapped in the house.
Wow.
So if they got into the mirror, potentially they'd be trapped here.
Wow.
So they cover them up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Like, at what point did somebody just decide that? Because all of these myths, traditions, superstitions, they all originated from one person's mind at one point. Somebody somewhere went, oh, I better put a cloth over that mirror because so-and-so's just died.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them.
But then
we don't, we don't know what, people, I mean, life was so different then. We can't begin to imagine it.
Are these things, is there some magic in them?
And that's it. We live in a really kind of scientific and technological world where we're losing magic and we're losing those kind of traditions, and it's all replaced with fact and science. And actually, there's so much phenomena in the world all of the time that's inexplicable, and we lose the magic.
Yeah. So surely, I mean, some of them must have been built on an experience.
Yeah.
So that experience, that person must have felt real enough to make up.
I feel like this is calling for us to interview some people that have had these experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone who's interested, let us know. Another Irish tradition is not to leave the corpse alone. Ooh. So they tend to they used to traditionally keep their dead at home, and they would have somebody with them all the time. It's a bit like the wake. That traditionally they would stay there to stay awake, to make sure they didn't wake up. That was the whole point, because
I love that.
Again, linking back to sort of the time when people did wake up, dead, basically. They were buried or whatever.
Yeah.
I
love that. I imagine there's got to be a vast portion of the population that don't know why awake is called awake.
But yeah, that was traditionally
just making sure that they didn't wake up.
Yeah, so they keep them at home and then make sure that somebody was there to look over them all times. And pregnant women, interestingly, they were not allowed to be in the room on their own with them and pregnant women in general, they didn't like them going near the dead because obviously they thought that the soul was looking for a body to inhabit, yeah.
Wow. I've never heard that.
I would say that's very traditionally Irish, that saying. Yeah.
Wow, no, I've never heard that one. That's news to me. Very interesting.
You've heard about coins on the eyes?
Well, I've heard about it, and obviously it's another thing that we see depicted in pop culture and films and stuff, don't we? And do you know, I'll be honest, I thought that they were used to keep the eyelids shut.
Well, I think they probably had a jewel.
Okay.
Dual purpose,
Okay,
really.
right.
Because, they would
Only based on the pirate story he told me once. In fact, which is...
he needed some pieces of eight.
What episode is that on? Is that on Dead Funny?
Yeah.
So he needed
Pieces of eight
But
for his
I
eyes.
thought that they needed some weight to keep the eyes shut.
Yeah, I mean, potentially that it served a purpose.
Yeah.
But they used to say that the pennies on the eyes or the coins on the eyes was to pay the ferryman to take the soul.
Okay.
So that was where the tradition sort of came from.
I mean, these days, if it was relative, you're going to have to be putting wads of cash on somebody's eyes, aren't you?
I'm not sure notes are going to hold the eyes
The whole
down.
face is distorted from piles of cash on their face.
Yeah, the ferryman would be like, my rates have gone up, sorry.
Yeah, have you seen the
Cost of
interest rate?
living. Another tradition in Ireland, so I said they keep the coffin at home and
Yeah.
the deceased at home. And normally they'd put the coffin on sort of, the dining room chairs would be like a stand,
Nice.
say 4 chairs and you'd
Yeah.
put the coffin in. And when the coffin was then taken and buried, they would kick the chairs over. That was tradition. They used to kick the chairs over to break the tie.
Wow.
And it would sort of let the soul know that there was nowhere for them to sit, no chair for them to sit here. So it broke the connection with the
Isn't it
afterlife.
interesting that there's so much based around it that seems to depict that they actually, whilst they miss their loved ones, they've got some real kind of dark connotation about the soul coming back in a negative way.
Yeah, like I miss you, but I don't want to see you.
Yeah, I
again.
miss you, but could you just fucking leave now?
Yeah, you've had your time.
Yeah,
Come
there's
on.
no seat here for you.
Yeah.
Kicked it over.
Crazy, isn't it?
Really interesting.
But yeah, so kicking chairs over. Another thing that I read about was called a fetch,
Ooh, never
which
heard
is
of that.
basically a doppelganger. So you know what a doppelganger is,
Yeah,
like somebody
yeah,
who looks like
yeah,
you. So
yeah.
they say if you see a doppelganger, that it could mean that person is going to die. So if you see a fetch or someone who looks like somebody that you love or whatever, that the person is gonna die.
I've never ever heard of that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely totally fascinating. But we also isn't there only sort of, I'm sure it's either 7 or 12, can't remember the number, but types of sort of human face, and so we all kind of
we must all have a doppelganger.
We'll all look more like somebody else in the world. But I mean, you can see again why. Let's go back in time where if you, and obviously places weren't densely populated like they are now. I mean, it's quite normal that we go out and go, oh, doesn't that look like Linda down the road or whatever? But actually, in times where you didn't see that many people and you happened to be at the market that you travelled 5 miles on foot to get to, and you saw somebody that looks like somebody it would be a shocking experience, wouldn't it? Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in to It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.